All right. Welcome to the Cancer Coach Central podcast. I'm here with one of our wonderful coaches here at beatcancer.org, Rose Bochicchio. And we're just going to chat about her coaching journey and see what we can learn. So, Rose, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, Zach. Thank you. How are
Awesome.
you?
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Good, good.
So, Rose, we've met a lot. You participate in our weekly calls very frequently, and that's wonderful. But I've never really gotten to know your specific coaching journey. So I guess we could begin there. And what brought you to want to be a coach in the first place?
Well, I've actually been certified as an end of life and grief coach back in 2016. I'm a registered nurse, and I've been in the profession for many years, but I'm more interested in the holistic field. And can coaching became somewhat of a labor of love. My 58-year-old sister, died in 2022 of breast cancer. And I'm not a stranger to cancer either. I'm a cancer survivor, uterine cancer survivor in 2005. So when my sister was going through cancer, there wasn't a service like this available. So that kind of makes me, after she had died, and because I am a certified coach, I was just kind of curious if there's such thing as a holistic cancer coach. So, that curiosity kind of brought my fingers to Google, and I started Googling, and I was really surprised at how many coaching um, how many coaching programs that they were, but they were also very costly. And so that was kind of an issue. But when I came across this organization, I was really I was really pleased by not only the materials, and fortunately, I had monies that were gifted to me, um, that had just been sitting in a bank account, for when my father died. So when I researched this company and the cost of the certification program, I think it was like $50 short of what I had already in my account. So I'm like, oh, well, maybe this is a sign, all those universal signs that we get.
Yeah.
So, and I like the different options too, that you could be, there's information for caregivers, there's different levels um, in the program. So, my sister and I, when she recovered from cancer, we were going to work on kind of something that can make it easier for people, diagnosed with cancer, when they don't want to go through the traditional, chemotherapy, radiation, kill your immune system kind of, protocols. But unfortunately, she wasn't able to. So now she just kind of works with me from above and from the other side. So yeah, so that it was kind of a kind of surreal that this program was available, and it just kind of um, it really um, felt like what I was looking for, like it was a great sort of niche for me. And as a nurse, I've always been coaching. We always, in the caregiver profession, we always are coaching in a way. So, but yeah, so I kept going. I did get certified, and but for me, I didn't want it to be something that was stressful. I wanted, as a labor of love, I wanted it to be something, um, um, I wanted it to be something that, what's the words that I'm looking for? Something that can benefit not only my family, but me, should I get cancer again, the tools, are just such great tools. So it was not only a service that I wanted to sort of add to my the services that I provide, but yeah, it just really seemed to fit. So I kind of go at my own pace, because I am a retired, nurse, although I'm sort of fun tired. I'm still serving, but I want to have fun and create it.
Yeah, and that's good, and that's something you see a lot, right? Because we as humans, we got to be working on something, right? Otherwise, it's boring.
Yes,
There's only so much cake you
exactly.
can eat. There's only so much cruises you could take. Yeah. It's a beautiful thing that you've decided to spend really your entire life, it seems like, dedicating to helping people. And that's a really common thing that we see amongst our coaches. We of course have a lot of registered nurses that are coaches that I've met, but uniquely, you're the first, and perhaps there's others. You're the first one that's mentioned that you're also an end of life and grief coach.
Yes.
That's very interesting. Can you talk about? I mean, maybe the how has that helped you also be a cancer coach, or what brought you to that career itself?
Well, I end of life for some people are like, I don't want to even think about it, but for me, end of life is just as important as the beginning of life. It's a chapter in our life that's an important chapter. And some people, they don't have the opportunity to sort of create that, what's the word that I'm looking for? They don't have the opportunity to kind of create that chapter, because so many of us are so afraid of even addressing end of life. For me, I remember when I had cancer, I had asked my husband at one point, I'm like, do you think I'm going to die? And he said, yeah, at some point, but not today. And not now, And so I always felt like the more that I can control in my end of life, the more that I would want to do that, um, and and I've always, even in my 30s, I've always thought of, okay, if something should happen to me, um, what would what would that look like, with my family members. Even before I was married, I always felt like, when we die, um when we die, I want the people that love me and that I loved, I want them to grieve. I don't want them to have to try to figure out, what I want, where I want to be buried. Do I want to be buried? Do I want to be cremated? All that stuff is like a lot of work. And some people prefer that, so they don't have to even be in the reality of the loss. But for me, I just always felt like, I want to have, it's real, and I want to have as much control as possible, and I want my loved ones to grieve. And so many people feel like that, but they don't know how to talk about it, and they don't, and it's, and especially with family members, it's just hard to talk about it. And in 2016, I was actually certified as a minister, and um, so that it just, at that time in my life, it just felt like, oh, I was very curious about the end of life coaching and grief coaching, and went through that certification process. And I also realized too that as a nurse, a lot of my caregiving was with older people and end of life. So it just kind of, fit in. But there's so much grief going on. A lot of times people don't realize it, even retirement, and, with so much in life, loss and grief is just so, what's the word I'm looking for? It's there. You can't, you
So
can't ignore.
I really like your overall theme that it sounds like you took to approach that coaching as well. In that you promote empowerment instead of just brushing things aside. It seems that you're really a proponent of someone just taking responsibility for themselves and really just grabbing life for what it's worth, and choosing their outcome. And that sounds really in line with the values that we teach for cancer coaches, and really that we have towards health in general, because ultimately we would love for people to not need our coaches. But we create our coaches to be there to help people get their own power back and help people kind of get that sovereignty over their health again. That's very interesting. So in your own cancer experience, was it information that you learned here that you used to help heal yourself, or did it just so happen that the information that you found here after the fact fell in line with what you used to heal yourself, or did you maybe go more the conventional route? What was that like?
So, so I wish, I'm sure, I don't know when Beat Cancer, I forget when it started, but in 2005, I knew nothing about this program. And I wish I did, because I might have gone a different path. I was very fortunate in that I did have the surgery, and the diagnosis, when I was diagnosed, I just felt like I just got to get this out of me. So I didn't really have a whole lot of information. It was a OBGYN doctor that diagnosed me, and it was a very strange experience, because I just went to the doctor for a routine visit. I just had mentioned to my doctor that, I was just having vague symptoms, and I was going through a litigation at work, and so it was a stressful time. But I just wanted to use my benefits before I left my job, you know. So then it was, you know, the diagnosis of cancer was just like, what? It didn't make any sense to me, you know. But it was a godsend. Really was an eye opener, you know. And I was very fortunate in that I didn't have to have chemotherapy. Um, I actually I didn't have to have chemo, but it was suggested that I get radiation. And I met with the radiologist, and she said to me, she said, you know, we're going to do this course of radiation. And I asked her, I said, so if I do this, because in my mind, I'm thinking, I'm just going to be burning, radiation is just going to be burning up tissue. And so I asked her, I said, so if I do this, can you guarantee me that I'm not going to get cancer again? You know? And she said, no. And I said, well, the cancer wasn't outside my uterus. It wasn't in my lymph nodes. And so, you know, why would I have radiation, you know? And she explained, you know, there might be a cancer cell that have gotten away during surgery and stuff like that. And I said, no, I don't want to have the radiation. And that was 18 years ago. So I'm very good with the decision that I made, you know. But it would have been nice to be able to have a coach that I could have talked to when I got the diagnosis, you know, and someone that might have had other, you know, information on other options, you know. So I'm glad that I made the decisions that I made, but it would have been nice if I knew that there was this kind of an organization. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And it was hard. It was hard several years ago. It was harder to learn about stuff like this, right? And we live in the age of the internet now, where thankfully we can use the tool of the internet to tell more and more people about this. And you know, although the organization's been around for 46 years, it's really only been in the last 10 or so years that we've really modernized and put the course online. And Susan was creating coaches, Susan, our founder, when she was giving her speeches, even the 40 years ago. But, you know, now that we have online, we can get more coaches made all over the world and really get people Googling and finding out about the program. But you know, I'm really happy to hear that your story with your cancer treatment was a story of success. It just sounds like they were kind of giving you the what they give everyone of like, oh, this might not apply to you, but here, we'll sell it to you anyway. It kind of sounds like what you're talking about there. Like, is there a reason for this? No, but you should do it. What? It's unfortunate.
And I think that that's really common. I know with my sister, when she opted out of chemotherapy and radiation, the healthcare profession just kind of pushed her away, the conventional, you
Oh
know.
yeah.
And then she found that you know, the holistic side is also very expensive, you know, and what I saw her do was what I saw in a lot of people with cancer, you know, where they start out with that, I'm going to beat this, I'm going to beat this. And then they, you know, they start applying the new tools that they have. You know, she started juicing, she was into yoga, she was, with me, we would do Reiki every week. So when she first started, when she first informed the family, you know, we do virtual Reiki once a week. And as she progressed, then we do virtual Reiki twice a week. She lived in Florida, you know. But it was very sad to see how she didn't have anybody that she could really um, talk openly and honestly about, the choices she has, the choices um, the choices she can have, you know. So I just saw this gradual isolation and withdrawal, which is hard to watch in anybody, but in family members, it's all that much heavier. So it was just I think that there needs to be this service. There needs to be, and I know that hospice, they have volunteers and stuff like that through hospice and that. But the thing that I like about being a cancer coach is that I'm not mandated. I don't have these mandated schedule, protocols by higher ups. You know what I mean? It's like it's me and client. It's that journey, with the goal of success, you know. And for me, if that goal changes, then there's that end of life piece that can also be a valuable tool as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, hey, as a coach, you're an independent business owner and you're working directly. It's kind of like you as a CEO are working directly with the end consumer. And the benefit of that is that it eliminates the bureaucracy. It eliminates the this and the those corporate formalities, if you will, that are commonly found in modern medical systems that end up kind of making everyone into a square peg by
Yes.
shoving them into the square hole. But some
Mm.
people are triangle pegs, some people are circle pegs. But if they have a board full of square pegs and that's what they're trained to do and that's all they're allowed to do, then yeah, they have to try and shove everyone into that one hole. And for some people, it might work for them. And some people, it's absolutely not the right way to go and can unfortunately be detrimental. And it's an interesting thing that you said because, yeah, the holistic stuff can sometimes be relatively expensive, but I think it's also important to remember that the hospital bills are crazy as well. It's just that in these ways that things are set up, you have insurance that will offer to cover some of that, and then you just pay the deductible. But those bills are crazy too. you know and then ultimately what we always advocate for is people living in a way that they're preventing these illnesses in the first place rather than having to be reactive and deal with
Right.
them after
Yeah.
so
I think too that there's so much that people really don't realize this innate ability of healing that we have when it comes to mind, body, and spirit. When we take all of those factors and really apply that to our healing, that there's so much that goes on that we have um, power over. We do have control. Unfortunately, there's so much out there that gets in the way and can be just it can confuse things and just, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
the body is such a beautifully and powerfully designed machine, and given the right conditions, it's amazing the things that it can do. It can really thrive, and it can really become well in the face of illness, beyond with abilities beyond what a lot of people think is possible. That there's so many cases out there that people have gone very holistic ways and had their body recover in ways that modern medicine would think truly impossible. And they call it a miracle. You still hear that from doctors. You still hear it from medical practitioners. There'll be someone whose body healed itself in one capacity or another, and you'll go to their doctor and they just write off, oh, it must have been a miracle. Like, oh, yeah.
But they won't promote it. They won't.
Oh,
It's just in the documentation. It must have been a miracle.
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know, what always really with cancer, um, I always I have one most of the people on my mother's side, I think there's one sibling that, and she had eight, that I think actually died from complication of Alzheimer's. But the one, my aunt Peggy had, she had a form of cancer. 20 years she battled with cancer, and every 3 years it would come back. And I always thought to myself, what what makes cancer so happy? You know what I mean? In some people, if chemotherapy and radiation is the way of eradicating cancer, and it doesn't, why does it keep coming back? And that's why it was really, I love this program, because it's just, it's filled with so much information of how to make what makes cancer happy and what we can do to starve it, to kill it, to, what I mean?
Exactly. And keep it from coming back. Our whole approach is that we treat the patient, not the tumor.
Not the
You
tumor.
can, if there's conditions that have brought about a tumor and you just chop it out, but don't change the conditions, well,
Exactly.
those same conditions are just going to grow another one.
Yes.
And that's why exactly what we talk about is not just relevant for getting rid of existing cancers, but we teach the same things that will change your internal conditions and prevent them from recurring in the first place. Because that's ultimately the sign of success. I don't think it's a success story to get cancer every 3 years, but every time they chop it out of you, they'll call it a success story. You know, no, it doesn't have to be like that. So I'm interested to know, because the more I meet our coaches, the more I learn about different ways that coaches are working with patients. So if you wouldn't mind, I would love to hear the process. If someone says, "Hey, I want to work with Rose as my coach," how would that person find you to begin with? And then what's your process like when someone contacts you? How does that go?
So, so people can contact me through my website. Um, and I do work with a team of other holistic practitioners. Um, and so there's word of mouth, and there's also, I have flyers that I put out. I'm I I'm not a big um, I'm not a big social media um, guru, but at 65 years old, I'm willing to learn, um, and I so so when I get established on social media, that might be an avenue to connect with me as well. And usually, if somebody were to connect with me, I have an intake process. There's a form that I may send out to somebody to just kind of fill out that form and get it back to me. And um, and then we would schedule either a virtual for somebody that is not local, or if somebody is local, then we'd schedule a time to sit down and just kind of go through what's going on, what's talk about the diagnosis, talk about, once you got the diagnosis, where were you, what you went through, what's going on now, and what does the future look like? What does this cancer journey look like? What would you like to it to look like? Those kind of things. And then, yeah, just talk about what that individual needs from me. How can my service, benefit that individual? What kind of relationship do we want to have?
Yeah. So you
Mm.
really tailor it to the specific person, and so you're working with them through either in-person meetings, online meetings, and a variety of the two. Is there any specific niche of cancer that you work with, or are you willing to work with really anyone? Do you work with men and women, or any sort of cancer?
Yeah. I No, I don't have a specific niche, and I kind of let the universe guide people to me.
Yeah.
So um, I like s- involving it all. If someone, there's no good cancer or bad cancer. It's, what I mean. I don't mind sitting down with somebody that's newly diagnosed, repeated diagnosed, somebody that doesn't want to get cancer again, yeah, whatever comes my way, yeah, I'm open to it.
Yeah, and so you're a relatively new as a cancer coach, but it sounds like you may have had a variety of experiences already. How many ballpark clients would you say you've helped so far?
Directly with cancer, like I said, like you said, I'm new to cancer specifically, but um, in my service with Reiki and with Bowen work, and that's all about coaching. It's all about um, so I've been doing that since, oh my God, I was first diagnosed, or I was first introduced to Bowen work in 2010. So, and I try not to get to focus on how many clients, you know what I mean? I try to just, because I used to get tripped up about that. There's some people that, um, it's important to see X number of clients, a month to be successful. And so I don't really get into stuff, and it's okay for me, because at 65 years old, I'm in my last chapter. So I'm not competing with anybody,
Yeah.
and you know what I mean? And I don't have to I don't have to do anything. That's the thing. I don't have to do
Yeah.
anything anymore.
Hey, well, there's certainly something to be said for someone in a service industry focusing on quality over quantity,
Yes.
because that's where the real value is, isn't it?
It is. It is. Um and that's the whole thing is um if the service that I can give benefits the individual, then that's what's important, and that satisfies me, so that's why I leave it up to the universe.
Yeah.
The universe is a better boss to me. They never judge me. The
Yeah.
pen is sometimes good, sometimes not. Oh well.
Through it all, we can learn, right?
That's it.
So
Yeah.
what is you mentioned that you have a website. What's the website? I would love to check it out.
So the website is www.compasswell.org or .com, and actually the website is new. I had a website that I had through GoDaddy years ago, but I just had this, the one that I have now, was just, I just started or opened this one up about, when was it? Probably only about maybe 6 months old. Yeah. But it also involves the other services that I provide,
Yeah.
Um, so, but I also, and it's also not done yet. It's not completed yet either. So
Always a work in progress.
yes, it's evolving as well. Yeah. But I can be contacted through that website. So that's good.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm checking it out now. So you said it's both compasswell.org and .com?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's cool.
It's, it through you and I, it was Compass Wellness. Well, now what, my thought's pulling me away now. So it's
No.
Compass Well, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
.com, yeah,
Cool.
yeah. So
So what do you see as a cancer success story? Like what to you would you define as like a success story?
um, for me, the success has already started. It's already, it started with me finding you, deciding, do I want to provide the service, and moving through the moving forward in creating a platform for it. And so for me, the success would be just giving my best service to whoever comes my way. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
What would you say to someone who is considering becoming a coach or of a cancer coach or a coach like you are as well?
I would direct them to you.
Yeah.
I
It's
would say,
meant
welcome.
to be a
Yes,
sales
we
plug.
need it.
Yeah. Not meant to be a sales plug, but that's great advice as well.
I would say, and I have said that. I've talked to a couple of people that are like, "Oh, that sounds like that sounds like a great service." And I
Yeah.
just direct them to you because, like I said, there are other programs, but I really feel connected to this program, and I like the values, and I like the tools, the education. It's just, and just the variety, the I like the fact that that coaches can work with coaches. I like the fact that there's weekly meetings for coaches, and that there's weekly meetings for people with cancer to meet coaches. It's just a very active and um, um, working model that I think it's just such a valuable, program. I never met Susan, but I'd like to.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Now, as someone who's been in the field for so long of caretaking or caregiving coaching type roles, is there something that you think you can describe about yourself that's allowed you to do it for so long? Because a lot of people might get burnt out, or a lot of people might find that it's not for them, or they might just struggle to work with that kind of work. And as someone who's been thriving in it for so long, and you really seem like overall you radiate happiness in the face of it all. Is there some sort of advice in that realm that you'd give to someone that what how you can be successful for so long?
Yeah, we have to take care of ourselves first. We can't coach other people if we're a mess. We can't, um, we just can't. We can't care for other people if we're broken, and if we're not going to, we have to walk the walk if we're going to talk the talk. It's just that way. We will, when you're in the caregiving profession, um, you do get overwhelmed. You do get, it can take its toll on you, but we have to be our best caregivers first, so that we can take care of other people, and sometimes it is hard, and that's why it's good that there is, coaches, that there's support, available. And I'm not the kind of person that, um, um, that poo-poos away from, therapy, or getting help when help is needed. I think a lot of people think of, if they have to see a therapist, there's something wrong with them. I learned very early in my life that, if something doesn't feel right, if something is off, denying it is not going to make it better. Unfortunately for my sister, there was a strong, in order to live, I think she clung to denial. And I think that can be a very stressful path.
Yeah.
We're all fighting something. I once heard it said that, we're just all walking each other home. We all got stuff that we are dealing with, but if we're not honest with ourselves and take care of ourselves, then we can't benefit other people. It's not going to work, and that's what I try. I'm not perfect. There's been times where, someone has had to say to me, um, you know, listen to your own preaching, and but we just get back up. I don't know. You kind of seem. I don't know if you're familiar with the what's his name? Now, it left my brain cells.
I'm very interested to
Oh,
know what.
Frank Sinatra. Frank
Oh yeah.
Sinatra. That's life, That's life. Life can get messy,
Yeah.
but we're all just walking each other home, and
We do what we can with what we got.
what we can. Exactly. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Amazing. That was
Yeah.
beautiful, Rose. Thank you very much for joining me today. I would really love to do this again sometime too. I think we could have a
Anytime.
lot more good conversation.
Yes. Anytime. Yes. And I thank you. I thank you, and I thank Carl and you guys. I hope that I hope you see how valuable that you are. And I'm so grateful for you, because you offer so much, you do so much, and it doesn't go unnoticed or unappreciated.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Rose, for saying that. It definitely means a lot, and there's certainly more work to do. The
Yes.
direction that we want this organization to go in, there's a lot of growth that we have on our minds, and a lot of new tools and new ways of getting our information out there, that we're constantly working on. And ultimately, we're just looking to keep the mission alive, of educating as many people as we can on how to prevent or heal their cancer, because
Have you met Susan?
I have not met her in person. No.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
yet, but
She's still alive though, isn't she?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Yeah. So that would be a goal. That'd be a nice goal for me is to
Yeah,
hopefully
yeah.
one day.
I think she's more low key these days. You know, she put in her time, she put in her work, and now it's our turn to carry
Right.
the torch. And
Yeah.
carry the torch we shall, as it burns bright and as far as we can take it.
Nice.
All
Yeah.
right, Rose.
Yeah.
Thank you
Thank
very
you
much.
so much,
I'll
Ray.
see you soon.
Okay. Have a good weekend.
You
Bye
as well.
now.
Bye.